Okay, we're group 5, and we're going to be talking about relationship rituals and mate selection. Overall, it's just the changes in the world of dating and finding mates. Parental approval was something that was very important for those finding mates in years past, but we know with the rise in individualism, younger couples today tend to care less about parental approval than they did during the era of courtship. It still matters, but it's just not as much as during that time. Our findings show that oftentimes parents look to such factors as religious affiliation or racial background in determining what was best for their children. We also know that approval often extended past the parents and onto close family members, such as a brother. During the time of courtship, gender roles were strictly assigned. There were very strict standards that had to be met for those selecting a mate. As in the top photo, we see that a gentleman put out an ad looking for a spouse. The spouse had to have a fortune of at least 3,000 and had to have some form of land in order to be considered a worthy spouse. Today, people do have standards, but they're oftentimes more flexible and not as strictly set as they were during the time of courtship. Around the 1960s, we entered the sexual revolution, which was not only a turning point for sexuality, but also for dating. The sexual revolution allowed all people, but more specifically women, to be more vocal about their sexual desires. It gave women power in the world of dating as they were able to speak up about what they wanted without being condemned in the court of public opinion. During this time, people were able to speak up about their sexual desires, whereas before, sexuality had been completely taboo. During the 18th, 19th, and early 20th century, we see that churches, schools, and generally public meeting spaces were primarily the only way for people to meet and select mates. So overall, there was just a limit on where people could find one another. It's still true today that these are the most prevalent places to find a mate, but with the aid of technology, the methods of finding a mate has increased. As times have become more advanced, people are now able to expand their mate catching net. Not only has adding technology helped, but so has changing gender roles, such as women working alongside men, whereas in the past that had been completely unheard of. With the expansion of mate selection, the method of dating has also changed. In the past, we primarily see one form of dating, called courtship, in which men would slowly get to know the woman over a decent length of time. This process would likely take place in the home of the woman, while under watch by the mother and brothers. This goes back to the parental approval thing that we were discussing earlier. But today, we see many forms of dating, in which the process can happen for years before marriage, and some being as fast as a minute or two in speed dating. And in the next slide, we'll show how speed dating can occur and how methods of dating have continued to change.
I collect these antique nutcrackers.
Time! Kind of turned it off after Nutcracker. But let me tell you something about my cat. Time! Oh.
You must be exhausted.
Tell me about it.
Cut to the chase and sign up at eharmony.com. We'll find the perfect guy for you.
Time!
Hi.
Stop waiting. Start communicating for free today. Stop waiting. Start communicating for free today.
With the advancement in technology, we were able to expand forms of communication, which led to the birth of online dating. And online dating is generally a way in which people who were previously unable to meet can now meet, socialize, and eventually with success form relationships. Online dating combines the idea of individualism and romantic relationships to help people find the perfect match. When we go to these online dating sites, we see that people are now able to put much more information about themselves into the program so that the most similar people are able to find one another. With the birth of online dating, many people were skeptical about how they could meet someone just for them and how good the relationship could be if they met online and instead of in person. This graph gives some perspective about some of those concerns. So we see that 17% of marriages, the users met online. We also see that 20% of committed relationship started online. And of those who date online, 64% of people say that mutual interests are most important. So we can see that online dating allows for people who are similar to one another to meet one another, whereas before that might not have been the case. This graph shows the opinion of online dating and how it has become more accepted over time. There's an 8-year difference in the opinions that were gathered in 2005 and 2013. We see that there's a 15% increase in those who find that online dating is a good way to meet people. We also see that there's a 6% increase in those who find that online dating allows people to find a better match. There's also an 8% decrease in people who think that online dating is used by those who are in desperate situations. So all in all, we can see that online dating has had a positive approach in the outlook of people's dating life. Interracial dating is also a topic that has changed greatly over time. In the past, there were heavy stigmas on the topic of interracial dating, not only in the U.S., but also around the world. There were many states that considered interracial marriage to be illegal, with heavy emphasis on black male and white female relations. Today, it is fairly common to see interracial couples of all variety, but stigmas still exist and couples face their own set of problems. In this slide, we see by the graph on the right the percentage of newlyweds in 2008 who married someone of a different race and ethnicity. And on the graph to the left, we also see a steady incline in those who were in interracial marriages. And in the next slide, we'll see a video of interracial dating and how couples of interracial dating face their own set of problems.
I always stare at interracial couples in public and wonder how they met because their culture seems so different. I guess I forget my husband and I get stared at for the same reason.
I've been in my interracial relationship for almost 3 years now. It takes a lot of patience and understanding, but it's really worth it. I've learned a lot.
I just told my family about my interracial relationship, and I'm more than overjoyed with their response.
I hate the looks I get in public for dating a white guy. What's wrong with interracial dating?
The hardest part about being in an interracial relationship is the culture clashes. Some days I feel so fed up.
I'm leaving my toxic family to be with my boyfriend. They would never accept my interracial relationship. I'm essentially risking it all for him.
I thought my parents would be more understanding of my racial preference. They're trying to kick me out of the house because they don't do interracial relationships.
My boyfriend doesn't hold my hand in public, shows no PDA, and doesn't ever want to take pictures with me. We're an interracial couple, and I feel like he's embarrassed because I'm black.
Yeah, people do stare. I've had people walk past me and say, "Really?" or sarcastic, "Wow." Sad but true.
I just can't stand people who discriminate towards interracial couples. Just let them be happy together. It doesn't affect you either way.